Here's how to change the eMod insert on your Enigma Express. The eMod insert is this piece. It goes on the wing here, and it's just this piece right here on the end. And what that does is it controls the amount of grip rotation you get. There are 3 different options for eMod inserts. There's a tall, a short, and no insert, just the wing alone. Your Express comes already configured with the correct insert for the size of the gun it's for, so you shouldn't have to really do much with it. However, if your body type requires some different adjustment, here's how you change the insert. Now, before you start, you should know that each eMod insert comes with a corresponding spacer. So the tall insert comes with tall plastic spacers. The shorter insert comes with shorter plastic spacers. And when you change the insert, you want to make sure that you always have the correct spacers to go with the insert you choose. So to start out here, we're going to change this insert by loosening the screws on the faceplate. And we're going to take everything apart here. And we'll take a look at all these pieces. So you'll have 2 long screws, 2 plastic spacers, 2 eyelets, which go in the mod wing, and then 2 long screw posts. Now, to change this insert for the taller one, we're going to take the insert off, and then we're going to change it for the other one, and we're also going to switch out the spacers. So taking the insert off is nice and easy. Just insert a screwdriver here, loosen the screw. On the back, you'll see there's a nut. I'm just holding that with my fingers so it doesn't get lost. And we'll take that insert off. And now I'm going to switch this for the tall insert here. And I'm also going to switch these short spacers for the tall spacers that go along with the tall insert. So now, to put this back on, the tall portion of the insert goes at the top of the wing. If you have it this way, that's backwards. So, tall part at the top of the wing here. And then we're going to put our nut on the back, hold that in place with your finger, and then we'll drop the screw through the top and tighten it down. This just needs to be hand tight. You don't have to really crank this one. All right, so that's ready to go. And now before we start assembling the rest of our faceplate, it's easier if you take these 2 eyelets and drop them in the top of your mod wing before you start. So those go right there. Now we'll take our faceplate with the hole pointing towards the slide side of the gun, and we're going to drop our screws right in through the top. I'm going to hold them there with my thumb, flip it over, and then these tall spacers will go with the tall insert. And now my mod wing with the little eyelets in there. And just be aware if you flip this upside down, the eyelets will fall out. So just make sure it doesn't flip over. There we go. So now I've got my whole hardware stacked together. Now I just need to put on my holster shell. Get that all lined up. And then I'm going to put my screw post in the back, like so, push that through. And then I'm just going to get it started. I'm not going to tighten it all the way down yet. And then we'll grab our other side here, get that lined up. Screw post goes in the back, push it through, and we'll get that one started. And now as you tighten this down, you'll want to make sure that your faceplate isn't angled on the holster shell. So we're going to make sure that the top of the faceplate here is even with the top of our mod wing, and then the faceplate doesn't have any cant. So nice and straight right about there. And now we can tighten that down. And these screws you want to be very tight. Once you get it in the final configuration you like, you can use Vibrotite VC3, which is a thread locking compound, on these screws. But for now, we're just playing around, so we're not going to do that. So here's how it looks with the tall insert installed, and you can see this is quite a bit taller. When I tighten my belt, it's going to rotate the grip more towards my body. Now we're going to take it apart again, and we're going to show how it looks with no insert. So this was the tall insert and the tall spacers. And now we'll take this whole thing apart again. Next, we'll take the tall insert off. And we'll set this all aside. Now, for this next part, you're going to have to use your judgment. So when you're running just the wing itself with no insert, you may or may not need a spacer. It depends on the thickness of your gun. So if you look at this one, when I put my mod wing up against the holster here, if I were to put my faceplate over the top of that, it's going to sit nice and flush with the face of the holster without using a spacer. Because there's no insert on the mod wing, there's nothing flexing the faceplate and making it warp. So for this gun, no spacer is needed when using just the mod wing alone. But you'll have to use your judgment on that, because if your gun is a little thicker, you might still need a little bit of spacer here to keep your faceplate nice and flat. So let's reassemble that. We're going to take our eyelets, put them back into the mod wing, like so. And now we'll put our screws through the faceplate. Hold them with your thumb. We're going to add our mod wing with no insert now. So this will give you the least amount of grip rotation. Put our holster shell back on. And we're going to line up our screw post, push that through. And we'll just get it started by hand there. And our second screw post, line that up, push it through, and we'll get that one started. Whoops. I don't drop it. There we go. All right, so now we'll tighten that down, and then I'll show you what I meant about the spacers and the faceplate. Make sure that our mod wing is level with the top of the faceplate and that there's no awkward angle going on here. And then we will tighten this down nice and tight. All right. Now, this is how it looks with no insert. This is going to give you the least amount of grip rotation. For most people, this will give you the worst concealment, but it'll depend on your body type. And when you look at this now from the bottom, you'll see that the wing and the holster and the faceplate are all kind of flush. They make a nice line right across here. And you can imagine if you had a thicker gun, it's going to warp your faceplate here, which is not desirable. So if you have a bigger gun, you might need to consider using one of these short spacers here just to make sure that everything stays nice and flush. But you can use your judgment on that. All right, so that's our final configuration there with no spacers. So just to recap, you've got 3 different options here. You've got the tall, the short, and no insert. Those are the 3 options for grip rotation. So the tall insert gives you the most grip rotation. The short insert gives you the kind of medium amount of grip rotation. And no insert gives you the least grip rotation.